Welcome to Stay Paid. Today we are answering your burning questions in real estate, business, marketing, and more. On these episodes, we take live calls from listeners of Stay Paid. And if you want to have your questions answered live on the show, make sure to follow us on Instagram. We are at Stay Paid Podcast. Shoot us a direct message saying you'd like to come on the show, or you can visit remindermedia.com/ask. Submit your questions there, and we will reach out to you to schedule a time. My name is Josh Dyke, Chief Marketing Officer at Reminder Media, and joined, as always, by Luke Acree, President of Reminder Media. And we have a very special guest host with us this week, an absolute rock star of content and social media strategy. You know him as the Broke Agent on Instagram, Eric Simon. Welcome back to Stay Paid.
It's good to be back. This is my favorite podcast that I've ever been on.
Yes.
And it's nice
my
to
life
finally
is
get
complete.
invited back 2 years later.
Has it really been 2 years?
No way.
It's been almost
that's
2
because
years.
we've done so much content together through BAM
Feels
that
like
it
you're on
feels.
every week. Yeah.
Exactly.
We've
Now,
done
I
so
have
many
to-
webinars and conversations and everything, but it's an honor to be back on the
Dude, it is great to have you. This is the first Stay Paid ever, probably, that I've done vocal warm-ups before the show. I was literally just in my car doing like me, trying to warm up my voice. I woke up this morning without a voice, and I was like, I feel fine. And I was like, what the heck happened? And I realized that I was chasing my kids around for an hour last night, being the tickle monster. Anybody can relate to that comment in the YouTube comments if you've ever been a tickle monster. But I lost my voice there, so I'm going to let Josh and Eric carry this one. But you guys are going to get real answers from people that are in the trench, building businesses, doing it every single day. You guys know we build Reminder Media, and then we also have Acree Brothers Realty. Eric, not only was he a real estate agent at one time and then became an extremely great content creator, but he also helped launch BAM, which is, I believe, the best news site in real estate for education and everything you need to be successful in real estate. So we're excited. Let's go and bring in our first caller that wants to talk to Eric and maybe wants to talk to you and I, Josh. I don't know if Courtney wants to talk to you and I anymore. She might just want to talk to Eric, the Broke Agent.
Courtney King from Montana. Welcome to Stay Paid.
I would love to hear from you, Courtney. We have the Broke Agent on. We have the great Eric Simon. I would love to hear from you, your question to try to help you grow your business, all things social content. We have the master on. What question can we help you with to help you grow?
I started a podcast last year with 4 complementary other gals in similar industries. So I'm in real estate, and I have a lender, an insurance agent, and we had an attorney. It all started with estate planning questions that I had with the attorney, and realized, wow, a lot of people probably don't know any of this information, and it's becoming more and more important with our parents getting older. So we cover a lot of life lessons and discuss all those things. So my question was, how do I grow that podcast audience?
Great.
How do you grow? Eric, what do you think, man? Because you have a couple of successful podcasts and a successful media company. What would your reaction
I'll
be?
start with some bad news, if that's okay, Courtney.
Yes.
Growing a podcast is very difficult and takes an enormous amount of time. And even on some of our BAM podcasts, we have plateaued just because the real estate agent audience is so small. I love the storytelling angle that could get you outside of the real estate space, but something that's been extremely successful for us when we're framing up our podcast is coming up with the title and the YouTube thumbnail before you actually record the podcast. That really helps frame up everything that you're talking about, and then takes out a lot of the guesswork after the episode. Because I know after these podcast episodes, Luke and Josh know this too, is you're editing, you're trying to come up with the perfect title based off of what everybody said. You're trying to match that thumbnail to that title. It's very time consuming. And then you end up kind of losing the essence of the actual episode. But when you frame up the title and the thumbnail beforehand, you're giving yourself that framework to actually have a better episode. And you're already setting yourself up for success because you know kind of what's going to get clicks, whether it's through YouTube or through Spotify. Another way to do it is, are you recording short form clips after it? Are you publishing clips on social?
No, that's a good idea. We have somebody that helps with editing and loading it. So they do all the YouTube stuff.
Yes.
But doing the short clips would probably be helpful.
Yeah, it's very hard to get discovered on the podcast platforms, just publishing something through Anchor and then hoping people discover it on Spotify or YouTube. Then it's very title based, right? Like if you're not publishing short form content, people aren't even going to know the podcast really exists. And most people now are consuming the short form content even more than the podcast itself. So the clips might actually, they could definitely get more views to the actual podcast, but that might help with your branding more than the actual podcast itself, because we could have a short form clip that gets 30, 40,000 views and the podcast itself only gets 1,500. So what I would do is, while you're actively filming the podcast, is try to come up with 4 or 5 questions before that could be great hooks for those short form clips. Because whenever I used to do the Overask podcast, or whenever I'm doing the walkthrough podcast, and I could find myself kind of stumbling over my words, then I try to reform or reformat the actual hook to the question to make it more deliberate, knowing that there's going to be a short form clip out of it, because those clips are just as important, if not more, than the podcast itself to drive more views to the podcast.
Super well said. Some things we've seen with Stay Paid. We have seen that your audience grows the largest when you interview other people with audiences. So, for you in your podcast, right, you have your lender, insurance person, attorney. Make sure, just from a basic standpoint, you have an email created that can go to all of their databases. So after you create the actual content that Eric's talking about, that's gold. Then make sure you make it easy for them to send out to their list. So make sure that cross marketing is happening. And then think about guest wise. There's so many good guests probably in your community that you could bring on that have an audience, and you just need to make sure you do the work with that short form clip where you are tagging, you are collaborating with them in order to try to grow your audience. That's one thing that's helped us a ton. We had Matt Holleran on, and Matt runs Proudmouth, which is a podcasting agency. So he's produced about 1,000 shows.
Oh, yeah. I thought he said like 10,000.
It might have been 10,000. It's nuts. I mean, this guy's a master at podcasting. Yeah. He gave us an interesting benchmark, which was basically, how do you know if your podcast is doing well audience-wise? He said what he has seen from running podcasts for all these advisors and different service-based businesses, if your listener, like your viewership or listeners, reaches about the level of your Sphere database. So if you have 200 people in your database and you're getting 200 listens per episode, you're doing really well from a podcasting standpoint, from what he has seen running thousands of shows. So that's a good benchmark for you, because a podcast like yours, it could, I'm not saying it wouldn't, it could go national, but more than likely it's always going to be decently small. And so it's like, well, how do I gauge the return here? 2 ways we do it with Stay Paid is we think about our overall database of people and client base and what's our viewership compared to that. And then we also think about the relationships we're building with the guest that we bring on. Hence, Eric here, we formed a whole partnership with BAM, literally from our relationship started on the podcast, where we, got to know Eric through the podcast, and then it translated to a whole relationship together. So those are 2 things to think about from a podcasting standpoint. I don't know if you would add anything.
What's
Josh?
the name of your podcast, Courtney?
Prosperity Playbook.
Prosperity Playbook.
We're on Spotify and YouTube.
That's awesome. Let's send some audience to Courtney.
Yeah, go. And then remember, you can use AI to help you develop all these hooks that Eric is talking about. I don't know, Eric, are you guys using AI to help you develop the hooks yet or no?
Not to develop the hooks. I know which guest I'm talking to beforehand. I look at their content, whether it's the walkthrough or formerly Overask, and basically come up with 3 or 4. And the hook should take 3 or 4 seconds. Just a quick question. And then the person on the other end answers it, and then you give a call to action at the end. One thing also that's really effective, Courtney, is to use something like a mini chat automation to get more clicks to your podcast through your short form content. So on Instagram, if you say comment the word, and then you give a specific word, like comment the word podcast, and then you could send them a DM link directly to your podcast. So you're driving direct traffic from the short form clip to the podcast is kind of a teaser. And then making sure you plug it in your Instagram story, on your Facebook, and in your newsletter, just like Luke and Josh said. So the more views you're going to get are going to be from your social channels that are already in existence, as opposed to just trying to grow the podcast audience organic with the best YouTube title and thumbnails that's really effective, but you got to use the audience at your disposal first to get the initial eyeballs.
I know one mistake we made with our podcast, and probably still suffer from it today, is we went really broad, Courtney, in our like persona we were going after. We basically were going after every entrepreneur. And every, we can maybe label it, we went after every service-based,
lifestyle,
and then content-wise, it
Yeah.
was motivation, it was, entrepreneurship, it was personality. Like, we didn't get focused for many, many years. And that really hurt us in a couple of ways. One, it hurt us in developing the content because the content became very generic and broad and not specific enough to resonate with people. And then it hurt us in terms of like guest. Is like we were getting so many different guests from so many different industries, and it never really built a tribe. To this day, Stay Paid is a decently popular show across the industry, but it is not nearly as good as it probably could have been if we would have developed a tribe by being way more niche in the beginning and getting loyal listeners within that tribe and then breaking out. And we fell to the classic mistake of we tried to reach everybody and so therefore reach basically nobody from a tribe perspective, and then slowly switched after School of Hard Knocks. So I would just encourage you, your podcast, think about who are you trying to talk to and try to get specific in that, and then go and develop these topics for that specific audience. And then that will lead you to the guest, and that will lead you to the hooks.
Yeah.
Like that's
I'm looking at your page right now, and number one, branding looks awesome. The thumbnails are fantastic. The one thing I would tell you would be your titles. So like, for example, your most recent podcast, if I'm looking at the right one, the Prosperity Playbook, is Housing Crisis, episode 15. That doesn't say who it's speaking to. That doesn't say what are we talking about with the housing crisis. That gives no sort of context to the person who's just on YouTube seeing thumbnails pop up, because the thumbnails look great. Your titles, I would want you to run through AI, do more testing with the various titles, get more information in there, not just for SEO, but also for context. And then make sure that all three of you are blasting this out to your entire database. So your email list, make sure each week you're getting that episode out and why people should be listening to it based on who you're actually targeting with your episodes. But you're like, out of the three things that you need, branding, thumbnail, titles, you've got two of them.
Yeah, your branding looks awesome. Like the imagery and stuff like that looks fantastic. I can't wait to listen. Courtney, thank you for coming on the show. Hopefully that helps. Friend us if you haven't already on Instagram. We'd love to connect and help you more.
What are you, insane? Do you mean shoot a follow request? What is this, 1996?
He's in MySpace,
Add him on AIM. Courtney,
Eric, I need friends, dude. I need friends in my life.
Add us on MySpace. One last thing, results-driven titles always really work for us, especially on the walkthrough. Whenever we say something like, this agent gained 50,000 subscribers from this YouTube strategy. Anytime you could put a numerical value in your thumbnail or your title, and it's results-driven, and people understand why I'm listening to this episode, that's when we find ourselves getting the most clicks.
So good.
Great. I wrote down lots of notes.
All right, Courtney, awesome. Friend me, Courtney, because I need a friend. Ignore Eric and Josh, you know what I mean? But, follow them if you want to. No, really appreciate you coming on.
Become pen pals,
Exactly.
I'll send you a carrier pigeon.
I'll send you on AOL Instant Messenger.
Awesome.
Love it.
Thank you, Courtney. You can make sure to get your questions answered live here on the show if you go to remindermedia.com/ask and submit your questions. We had a ton of submissions for this episode. So we sent this out to our email list. We put it into our account interface, letting our clients, whenever they log in, have an opportunity to submit questions.
A lot of people scared to see you face to face, though, Eric.
Of course. Come into the gauntlet. This is the Shark Tank. I'd be scared too. I wouldn't want to talk to me.
We can't get everyone on the show, but the number one question asked, Eric, and so I'll throw this out to you because you are a genius at Instagram and growing your following and looking at people's profiles and helping them coach, how to better optimize it. But this was, I'm telling you, out of probably half the questions related to how do I grow my following on Instagram without posting every day. So this one specifically was from Teresa, but like half the people asked the same question. So how do people grow their following without posting every day? Can they grow their following without posting every day? What are your thoughts?
Yes. Can I give you 3 answers to this?
Absolutely.
All right. I'm going to start with this. Your following is not nearly as important as it was a year ago, 2 years ago, 3 years ago. It's not about the following anymore. It's way more about the content. Gary Vee's been talking about this. where it's the individual piece of content and the views and shares that you get on an individual post that matter way more now than your following. For example, I have 500,000 followers on the Broke Agent Instagram. Now, if you have 0 or 50 followers, you could still get the same amount of views as I get, because the way Instagram algorithms work is now become like the TikTokification of algorithms, where the AI is so specific and smart that is going to serve you quality content over content of the people that you actually follow. So the name of the game used to be build a huge following on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, and then the audience comes. Like, you'll still kind of know the exact amount of views that you're going to get with every post. That is not the case at all. So really try to worry about the individual piece and quality of the content. In terms of posting every day, you certainly don't have to post every day. You should be focusing on quality. Meta actually recommends now that you only post 3 to 5 times per week on Instagram and Facebook. So that's really all you need, as long as you're focusing on the actual quality of the post. Does it have a good hook? Are you retaining their attention throughout the entire video? Do you have a strong call to action? And really focusing on shares. The shareability of your content is the number one metric that you should be focused on, because that's what's going to get you the most views. It's not likes or comments. So you have to think, is my post entertaining? Is it valuable? And is it providing new information? If it's not doing any of those 3 things, then it might not even be worth posting. Obviously, the more you post, the better, because you are getting more shots up, right? So you do have a better chance at going viral in your local market. So the more, the better. But yes, you don't have to post every single week like it's 2019, 2020. Another thing to do is, if you want to grow your following without posting, I did this on the Broke Agent from basically 2015 to 2019, is social, right? So I would be commenting on local pages. I would be commenting on bigger accounts than mine with something valuable, not just fire emojis or laughing emojis, but something that actually gamifies the system to where now you are popping up in the comment section because your comment got a lot of likes, because it's a comment that brought value or laughter to people. So it's a great way to grow your brand, is you turn on the post notifications of 10 hyper local places in your market. Every single time they post, you're in there and you're commenting, you're leaving your 2 cents. So it's a great way to grow on social.
That's awesome. When you're commenting, Liz, I am definitely guilty of the fire emoji.
Yeah, I mean, everyone is, right? It's
lazy,
just the easiest
right?
thing.
Yeah, like
every time you do it to me, Josh, I'm like, he doesn't care about me.
Exactly.
What do you do, like, when you're commenting? Like, what's your thought process when you're going through and actually trying to add value to comments, to where you're not just kind of reiterating the point that the person originally made? Like, what's just because you're such a creative person, like, what's your thought process when going through and commenting on people that you want to engage with?
Well, my thought process with the Broke Agent is going to be completely different than a real estate agent or a mortgage broker or someone who's listening to this. Mine was say something funny, because then they're going to go to my Instagram profile and attach the 2 together, right? It's like the Broke Agent, he said something funny. I go to his profile is funny. This makes sense. I want to follow him. So I would go on In My News, and basically they'd post something and I would just comment something like, yeah, no, that didn't happen, or that's false. Or I would go on like Tom Ferry's account and make fun of him or real estate coaching. And he loved it, because it was fun to have back and forth banter like that. It's good to see a comment that kind of goes against the grain of everything else that's there. But it's, it's an opinion. Do you have an opinion on what's being said? If it's a news channel and someone posted about a new coffee shop or new development in a specific area, and then you leave your 2 cents on it, and it's actually providing value, humor, entertainment, or it's an opinion, then that's a little bit better than, like I said, the smiley or a fire emoji. It's got to be something that shows some sort of personality, right? Yeah, something that's going to give them a reason to go to your Instagram profile. And then is your profile actually set up to where it matches the comment? Because if you're saying hilarious things and then they go to your profile and it's just some boring agent profile, it's just a bunch of just listed posts, that it's not going to translate to the actual follow.
Yeah, it makes so much sense.
Yeah, that's really smart,
You know, I heard Gary Vee say basically it's turned into interest media, not social media.
Yes, exactly.
And so I think that is a great way to summarize what you were saying, because the problem there, though, becomes is that, oh, man, you really have to get good at creating. And so this whole idea of document versus create, what's your feeling on that? Do you think that's going away, where it's like you still document, but it really doesn't matter as much as you really need to focus on actually creating content? Because I've been going through this in my, kind of content here at Reminder Media is going, man, I feel like we need to do less so we can do better, because our content is just like everybody else's now, and it's not standing out. It's not getting views.
Is the question, should you still be documenting over
Yeah,
creating?
like it's like, do you think it's worth documenting versus creating, or focus all of your energy, because time is your limited resource?
Yeah, I mean,
focus all of your energy into creating at this
if
point.
what you're documenting is interesting, then it's still worth posting out. But I think we all kind of fell into the trap of, oh, we're all vloggers like Gary Vee. Everybody wants to see every aspect of my life, and I want to show you the behind the scenes process of me preparing the listing presentation, as opposed to just providing value in an actual post. If you have time to do it, great. But I don't think all of our lives are as interesting as someone who's documenting, like a Neil Dingra or a Gary Vee, where they're flying on private jets and they're talking to celebrities and rappers. It's like, yeah, easy for you to say that you want to document your work, because of course I want to watch you in a behind the scenes
because it's very unique
with Logan Paul. Like, that's sick. But do you want to see me just, in line at Starbucks saying like, hey, I'm headed to a listing appointment? I don't think that's that interesting. So,
well, it depends what you're ordering at Starbucks.
Yeah.
Awesome,
exactly.
man. Thank you, Eric. All right, we are going to bring on our next guest, Yulia, calling in from Maine. Yulia, welcome to Stay Paid. Thanks for calling in.
How are we doing, Yulia?
Thank you so much. I'm super excited to be here.
We are super excited to have you on the show.
Amazing.
So we have the master of content on with us today. What is your question on social content to help you grow your business that we can help you with?
Sure. The question I have is, what's the difference between posting a top of mind or top of feed, and what's better for your growth?
Yeah. So what is the difference? What do you mean by that? Like, if you are posting on your feed, you are staying top of mind.
Well, not necessarily. I feel like, sometimes people post just for the sake of posting.
Okay, I see what you're saying.
And so do you want to post to stay top of mind or top of feed? What's better for
Interesting.
your growth?
So this kind of ties into the discussion we were just having on the idea of quality versus quantity.
Yes.
So I'd love to get your take, but Yulia, can you give us a little bit of perspective on your social right now? Like how many followers you have, how long you've been in real estate, just to give us a little context.
Sure. I've been in real estate for 4 years, and I actually have been listening for Stay Paid for 4 years since the beginning of my career.
Wow, thank you.
Absolutely. And my Instagram right now is about 1,800 followers. Okay. It's not that much. This is not my primary source of leads. The primary source of leads is Sphere, referrals, past clients. And I would like to tap into this beautiful space where people have so many followers, and they could absolutely get leads from that.
Yeah, great question. Eric, you want to give your thoughts on this?
Yeah, I think going back to the previous question, it's really more about quality over quantity at this point, because your algorithm is not going to show content that is just being published to stay top of feed, right? So that was the name of the game 3 or 4 years ago, is put up as many Instagram stories as possible, put up as many posts as possible. I don't care if it's a just listed, a just sold, a happy 4th of July graphic, a picture of your kids, whatever it is. Like it just didn't matter, because you wanted to show up in people's feeds. But now when you scroll, your feed is now 40, 50% curated content based off of the For You page of the quality content that's being fed to you. So you're actually not going to show up as much to people if you're just trying to stay top of feed, but the quality of your content isn't good, because people are just going to start to tune out, and Instagram's going to see, oh, you know what? I don't really want to show this person's content to people anymore, because no one's interacting with it. So you really do have to focus on the quality of it. And how you do that is you go hyper local as much as humanly possible. You break news to your audience about stuff that, where's your market?
In Southern Maine.
Okay, in Southern Maine. So you break news to your market about what's happening in Southern Maine, whether it's real estate, whether it's a new coffee shop, whether it's a new development, whether it's a new minor league sports stadium that's going in. People want to get information, and 54% of people are now getting it from social media, as opposed to actually typing in a blog or watching Fox News or CNN or their local news channel. They're actually getting it from scrolling on X, scrolling on Instagram, scrolling on TikTok. So why not be the person delivering that news? Now, in that caption and the copy, you could still relate it to real estate, how it's affecting that specific area. But if you actually want to post content that has an impact that does grow your following, It's really focusing on how do I go viral in my local market? Am I providing new information? Is it news? Is it educate, or is it entertaining? Is it educating to these people? If it doesn't hit one of those categories, it's just not going to really resonate with people. So think hyper local as much as humanly possible, because that is by far the easiest way to grow on Instagram right now.
Yep. And I think you hit the nail on the head when you said your primary lead source is referrals, I'm assuming, right? Sphere, in essence. Well, social media, the greatest aspect of social media is your sphere. It's way less about the viral clip getting you new followers that turn into transactions. It's way more about the top of mind awareness with the sphere that you have. And it's just one of the many tools, as you know, in the tool belt that, it goes along with email, goes along with print, goes along with your client events. It's just one of those things. I don't know what you think on this, Eric, if it's still effective from actually influencing the algorithm, but those 1,800 that you have, are you actually engaging with them on social? And do you know, Eric, does that still influence the algorithm as much as it did? Okay.
Yeah, this kind of goes back to the previous answer too, is spending 15 to 30 minutes a day being social on social. So responding to people's stories, responding to your clients' DMs, commenting, leaving positive comments on there. That juices the algorithm for your post, because if you're DMing with people, Instagram sees that as the most powerful form of communication. Like if Luke and I DM together and then Luke posts, his post pops up immediately on my feed because Instagram recognizes how connected we are. So if you spend 15, 30 minutes a day doing that, that will help with the initial engagement of all of your content, because it is still reciprocal, right? Like, again, if I see Josh or Luke commenting on my post, I'm more likely to comment on theirs. If I see a follower that doesn't interact with me at all, I probably won't throw that person a like. And
it's like most of the things in marketing, it's the stacking effect of the more they see you do it. Because I have people that do this to me. Agents will be commenting on my stuff, and it's crazy how I get to know them because I just see their name all the time. And out of the thousands of people you interact with, you're like, oh, this
their name out of
there. Exactly. This person stands out. But it wasn't just because they commented one time. It was because every post they were commenting on it for me. So like your tip earlier, Eric, on like finding the local accounts that you can comment on, I would think like the quantity should be in the social engagement. The quality should be in the posting. Like that's probably the new thing that you should be doing. To me, I just go, so many people are focused on trying to get viral. I actually think we have a call in happening here shortly of someone talking about going viral, but I just don't think that will produce the results that you want. I've had a couple viral clips, only a couple. Eric's had many, and they haven't helped us nearly as much as I thought they would have. I thought I was like, oh my gosh, I remember when we were going viral multiple times on TikTok, views, and I was just like, this is it, we've made it. And it really didn't translate to maybe a blip in listeners even for our podcast, but then it just felt, so I would just not worry about follower growth as much as quality of follower.
Interesting. Very interesting. Yes, I actually just collabed with a local summer camp. I'm sending my kids to a main camp, the one that you see on the Parent Trap movie. Maybe like something similar, not the same one, but something similar. And I connected with the owners on Instagram, and I said, "Hey guys, can I come over and do some videos? Can I interview you?" And in fact, so I posted some of that, and that got so much engagement. And I was like, interesting, like has nothing to do with real estate, but literally talking about, hey, what it's like to go to a summer camp for the first time. And so they explained it, and people were commenting, and people DMing me, and people started following me. And
so
actually,
Julia, you know what you need to do?
What's that?
Do it again.
You got to do it again. You got to do more of what's working. When you see something that works, you got to do it again. Maybe not with the exact same summer camp, but you got to go, okay, what are the other summer camps in the area that I can do this with? Like you just double down. Like you literally have answered your own question. It's like, boom, that's your quality content right there. Just do 10X of it. It's like the old Grant Cardone, 10X. You got to get 10X of it, of what you're doing. Like you're answering your own question. That's it right there.
Think of yourself as a media company that happens to sell real estate, And that'll be
Okay.
such a huge mind shift to you that'll really help your content take off. Because I'm not saying to not post the listing content, because that's important for you. That's important for your sellers to get the word out about what you have. But if the 70-80% of your content is all community, hyper local based, summer camp, coffee shop, new restaurant, new burger place, that sort of information, you're getting all these new eyeballs that when you do actually post a listing, when someone is ready to buy, then they're more likely to reach out to you. But you have to build that audience first with the hyper local content, and then you can build the real estate content underneath it.
I still really love the content where I see the agents going, what $1 million can afford you in King of Prussia, Pennsylvania? Like how much money do you need to earn in order to afford a $500,000 home in Southern Maine? Like that type of content, to me, I still feel is underplayed. I don't know if I'm more, apt to it just in what I like to look at. But it feels like not enough agents are doing that for the hyper local market. It's like, tell me in every neighborhood in the areas you serve, what salary I need to make in order to afford this home. What, $1 million will buy me. Like get there and then if you can, tie it into great property tours of the house. The other play is like the deal of the week play. I think it's Sharon's, right? I feel like more agents should be going the nicest home on the market right now in King of Prussia, Pennsylvania. Like you have access to all the homes that are out there. Everybody loves to look on Zillow for the nicest home in their area. And it just ties you to that, but it's great, clickable content that I think you could lean into too. If you're looking for like, what else can I post that ties me to real estate? Those to me feel like they work.
Yeah, the here's what $1 million could get you in this market is such a better hook that reaches such a higher audience than, hi, my name's Eric Simon. I'm standing in front of my new listing, 1545 Broxton Street. It's like, all right, you've already lost me. But here's what $800,000 could get you in this specific area. If I'm within that striking range, I'm definitely going to watch that video. You could also disguise your listing videos as hyper local videos. So say you're talking about a new dumpling shop that opened up in your neighborhood. You talk about how amazing it is. You show a little bit of the food for the first 20 seconds of the video. Oh, by the way, down the street is a new listing that I happen to have. So it's like you rope them in with the hyper local content, and then you could still infuse real estate or your knowledge about the neighborhood right after it. So it's kind of like burying the lead a little bit, but you're coming up front with new information and entertainment. By the way, down the street from here, if you want to live close to this amazing new coffee shop, I happen to have a new listing. And then now it's like your listing video has been disguised as a hyper local video.
Yeah, so good. So good. We've actually been testing. I don't know, Josh, if you've been super involved with this or not, but they're about to test AI video of houses. Yeah. And it has gotten really good. So just go play around with, AI video of like, say, generate me a video of a home in Southern Maine and tell it what you want. And it will generate you a little video clip of a home that is really realistic. And that's where you can make it easy for yourself to do these types of videos we're talking about. You don't even have to go out to the home and film. You can just behind you have this video of this home going, which is beautiful. It's eye-catching because it's AI. And you're talking about here's what $1 million can afford you. And you have $1 million looking home in Southern Maine behind you as you're talking. So stuff like that.
That's brilliant. Well, now, okay. So Eric, you said, okay, don't post just listed, just sold. Don't maybe post it here and there. But is there one thing that I should completely stop doing on Instagram that will help me grow?
One thing you should stop doing. So if you're posting the same type of content every single time, you should stop doing that. You need variety. So if you're only posting Instagram Reels, you definitely have to mix in carousel posts and your standard feed posts. If you're only posting standard feeds and carousels, you have to mix in Instagram Reels. People like to consume content differently, and it really helps break up the feed. So if you find yourself and you're doing a news story, you're doing a green screen and the engagement is bad, just do that as a headline post. You can put your photo in the center of it, but just try that as a headline post, or maybe it's a screenshot of a tweet or text only. So you want to constantly be changing the format. I see a lot of agents where their entire feed is just the same style of post every single time, whether it's a just listed or whether it is a hyperlocal post, but it's the same exact sort of content. I think that becomes ineffective because you start to get conditioned to it. And you want to be surprised by someone's feed on BAM or the Broke Agent. It's always something new. It's memes, it's carousels, it's screenshots of text, it's green screens, it's headlines, it's clips from podcasts. It's like we're a media company, so it's a lot easier for us. But I would say break up the sort of media and then double down on the stuff that's getting the most engagement.
Yeah,
Love it.
so good. Yulia, this has been fantastic. I said to the last person, friend me, but I'll change it. Follow us. God. Friend only me. Follow us on social.
Friends. We're already friends.
There you go. We're already best of friends, guys. Thank you for being a loyal listener, and thank you for calling into the show. Really, really appreciate it. And let us know how your social goes. So try some of the tips we're talking about and follow up with us. Let us know how it goes. We'll have you come back on. So appreciate it, Yulia.
Thanks,
awesome.
Yulia.
Thank you. Take care, guys.
We want to go to one of our mail-in questions.
I do, because I like this one from Nicole. Nicole is in the state of Washington, and she's really talking about the creative process here. So she's saying engaging content consistently is what she needs help with. I'm a creative by nature, but I'm not consistent. I need to be more present as it is important, but I really do not love focusing on social media. So how do you stay consistent through your creative process when you don't really even like social media?
Well, you'll start to like it once you start seeing the actual engagement and everything come through. I think I'm resistant to it too, by the way. I don't want to be posting every single day. Trust me, I'd rather be on the driving range for the next 3.5 hours than trying to come up with the next Broke Agent meme where I've recycled the same 40 captions for a decade straight. So I'm exhausted by it too, by the way. But in order to stay consistent, one of the easiest hacks you could do, there's two things. One is you actually bulk record. So you pick a day, whether it's once a month or it's once every 2 weeks, and you actually plan out your content right there. So you get a camera person or a videographer, or you get someone in your office, or you just set up your own iPhone. That's really all you need, an iPhone and a mic. And you actually plan out what you're going to record. So that way the day-to-day of real estate doesn't take away from your content and vice versa. Because it's obviously really hard when an inspection pops up, a listing appointment is showing out of nowhere, and you haven't posted in the last 2 weeks because a deal's falling through. But if you bulk record and you actually plan out with scripts and plan out 3 or 4 hours of that day of actually formatting all the content, that's going to be really effective for you. And another thing is look at the calendar ahead, right? So say it was earlier in June. You look at July and see what sort of content should I post about. Look at the holidays. Look at what's happening in your local market. Is it 4th of July? Okay, how much content can I create around the 4th of July? It better not just be a 4th of July graphic with fireworks saying Happy 4th of July. It should be useful content about the best 4th of July spots to watch the fireworks in insert market, or the best place to grab a cocktail while watching the 4th of July. How can you make it hyper local? How can you make it valuable? And then you look at other holidays throughout July. Is there a fake holiday like National Drive-Through Day or something, which is on July 24th? The only reason I know that is because we create content for our members. But what does National Drive-Through Day do? Obviously, no one knows it exists or cares about it. But then you could say, oh, you know what? This is my favorite drive-through here in Los Angeles. Here's why. There's no line. I love the food here. Maybe it's like a local place, and it's in between my office and a lot of my listings. What's your favorite drive-through spot? I know that sounds kind of simple, but it's that sort of content that just kind of breaks up the feed a little bit, where it's not just education, real estate content. It's just, hey, this is part of my daily routine. I like to go to this drive-through. Which drive-through do you like to go to? So look at the holidays, look at the fake holidays, and then try to get a feel for what's happening kind of just as the zeitgeist of that time, right? Like right now it's summer, so kids are out of school. So what are the best kid-friendly restaurants to go to in your local market? What are the best summer camps, as we just mentioned? How can you beat the heat in Tucson, Arizona? Are there water parks? Are there places with good air conditioning? Are there secret spots you found about that are actually great hiking because there's no sun hitting you? So any sort of stuff that you could do around the theme of the time, that always gives your content rocket fuel.
Yeah, those ideas are gold.
So good.
Do you content batch? Like, do you have a day in your week?
No, I'm completely hypocritical and full of crap.
Always
actually, so I
was
do
curious.
No, honestly, so we used to with BAM. So I used to fly to Naples and film 15 YouTube videos, and those were my marketing Mondays that we would do. And if if I'm going out of town, we'll do a bunch of walkthrough episodes beforehand. But I'm my job is content creation. So I'm doing it every
Exactly.
single day. If you're a real estate agent, you should batch record because that is not your full-time job, even though it's a large part of it.
Yeah, and most of the ones that we have on, like the Shannon Gillettes and Jens and Maria, they all tend to content batch.
Yeah. Well, it takes the pressure off the daily content creation, and then you actually have to plan the content, right? It's not like you just say, hey, July 16th, I'm going to do this for 5 hours. Then you show up with no plan. Now it's like, oh, I got a videographer coming to this. I need some outfit changes. I need to figure out what my hooks are. I need to actually write these scripts so it mentally prepares you to do the content. Your content's going to be better than if you just do everything.
That is a great point. If you apply an external, motivator pressure, pressure, like that is, especially for creatives, like we thrive off of that, that pressure of
last minute.
Last minute, but also like I got to show up and perform, and be prepared for this. That's a great.
Fun fact about your host today, Josh never has to worry about outfit changes because he always wears the same outfit. If anybody ever notices that. Has anybody ever noticed that in the YouTube video?
Yeah, comment if you notice I literally wear the same outfit.
Is that all in your closet? It's just
every day.
And hairstyle. It's just like literally your closet is just like
the only thing
Steve
you can
Jobs.
change the time. The only way you can tell time passes in our podcast is watch my beard growth. It starts to go down, and then one day it'll go short, and
otherwise it just all looks like it's the same day.
All right, we are bringing on our next caller, Melody, from Florida. Melody, welcome to Stay Paid. Thank you so much for calling in.
Hi, thank you. How are you guys?
We are doing fantastic, Melody. How are you?
Great. Getting ready to rain here in Florida.
Yeah, man.
That sounds about the norm, right?
Yeah, it does.
That's the norm.
And probably humid as all get out, right? That's why I don't think I could ever live in Florida. The humidity would kill me, I think. So, although, yeah, that's what they say about the dry heat in Arizona, I think, too. So, all right. So I would love to hear, Melody, your question. Like, how can we help you grow your business?
Okay, so I've been a realtor for 22 years. And I try to stay consistent, but sometimes I just, I get off. Life happens. But I try to do my time blocking, do my tasks, check them off. But I'm afraid sometimes I'm not doing the things that I need to be doing or wasting time on things that I shouldn't be doing. So I guess my question is, what does a typical day look like for a successful realtor to you?
That is the $1 million question. I don't think there is a typical day, but tell me a little bit about where are you at so far this year in GCI? Like, what's your volume? What's the GCI so far this year?
So right now I'm at 2 million. I do if I can do a contract once a month, I'm good with that. I'm a very good lister. I do a lot of listings.
Okay, so you're about 2 million in volume. So you think you'll end the year around 4 or 5 million?
Yes, that's usually where I am, around 4.
Okay, 4 or 5 million. What's your goal? Do you have a target that you want to try to hit this year?
It's just about the same. If I do like 80, make 80,000. If I do 5 million.
Is that what you did last year and the year before?
Last year was 65.
Okay. So I was just trying to get to the reason why I was asking these questions, give me context to help, give you the, I guess, best advice I can. And then also, trying to find the motivation. Like if you're consistently doing 4 to 5 million and you're worried about your calendar, but you're happy with the one a day, then why does it matter? Right. Because the why drives the action. So I guess, can you tell me, like, why are you feeling like you need to change your schedule or you're maybe missing out on something?
I want to retire. I'm 69.
Okay.
And
gotcha.
So 5 years from now, I want to be able to retire.
Okay. Love it. So we found them. Okay. So I would love to take this because we have the master of content and social on this. Okay. So I would love, Eric, for you to give your take on what a good week in posting of content or social would look like for Melody. And it doesn't just have to be about social content, it can be other stuff. And then I can give you, Melody, my take on from like the real estate whole perspective that we do at Acre Brothers.
Okay.
Yeah, for a week of content for a real estate agent, this is a prescription. 3 to 5 posts per week on Instagram and Facebook, and you could just cross promote those. Maybe 1 long form YouTube video a week or a month on YouTube. Are you doing any long form right now?
I'm not doing YouTube right now.
Okay. YouTube is the ultimate hack where you don't need that many subscribers. You don't need that many followers. It's all very title and thumbnail based where people are actually searching in your market. Will their search, what part of Florida are you in?
Ormond Beach, Daytona
Okay.
Beach, St. Augustine, that area, East
Okay,
Coast.
where I'm sure people are actually searching on YouTube about that. So that's how you could get discovered. So let's just call it one YouTube video per month, 3 to 5 posts per week, and then one newsletter every 2 weeks, I think is the ultimate way to stay in front of your database where it doesn't feel like this enormous amount of pressure like you're a media company pumping out too much content.
Okay. On the YouTube, what would you suggest doing?
I would suggest your first step on YouTube is you go to agents in other markets like San Diego or California. I could just give you the names right now. There's a guy named Dan Parker in San Diego. I would look at his top 10 performing YouTube videos and use those exact titles for your market. So
Okay.
a lot of these agents are kind of copycat channels, whether it's Ken Pozek in Orlando or it's Jeremy Knight in Austin. There's Trey Serrano in San Antonio. Those are 4 right there. Where if you just go on their go on their YouTube channels, copy paste their titles, throw it into ChatGPT and say, make these titles except for in my market. Then it's going to flip the titles, and then you basically have the framework for your script right there. So if it's 5 reasons you shouldn't move to Daytona, but in that video, you're actually giving positive reasons. Sometimes if you start with a negative, you actually get more clicks to it. Then you kind of already have your script and everything available. And you could also have ChatGPT write those scripts for you. So you say, write me a script about the 5 reasons I shouldn't move to Daytona, but make it actually positive as to why they should. And then it's going to provide all this information for you. So the first place I would start is at least consume some agent content on YouTube. So you kind of get an idea of how long should the video be? What should the hook look like? What should the framework be like? And then how do I position my channel to basically look exactly like that, but in my market?
Love it.
Okay. Thank you.
Absolute gold. So when it comes to like the agent schedule, like I joked in the beginning, I don't think there is a magic formula. I'll tell you what we do at Acre Brothers, and I'll kind of give you a take of, we have a top producer I've been coaching for the past 2 years. Last year, he closed about 80 deals. And then I have another producer on the team. So Tim, who we've actually had, he'd be a great episode for you to listen to. Melanie,
Tim Bushnell.
Tim Bushnell. We kind of talk about his early days, right? So he does about 80 deals a year. This year, he might do actually a little bit more. And then I have another agent on the team, Noah, who will do probably 24 deals this year, maybe 24 to 30, somewhere in that range, deals. What we do for them is, it starts in the morning, right? So every morning I'm texting Tim at 5 a.m. Are you up? Now, this is just our team. Like, you don't have to do this, but I'm just giving you the concept of what we do. But it's like every morning, 5 a.m., it's a text. In the morning, Tim and I and Noah, we're big, your body, mind, and spirit. So it's like, okay, this is where you feed your mind and spirit. And this is where you make sure you start off the morning, winning the morning from a body perspective. So like exercising. So, I'm a gym person. I go to the gym. Tim's not. He does like a walk and stretching. And then I'm always challenging him. Hey, what book are you reading right now? And then we're people of faith. So it's like the Bible. Hey, did you spend time in the Bible today? And it's like we focus in really early, because if you can win that first morning, as they say, you can win the day. Then when Tim and them get to the office, it's somewhere between 7:30 and 8 a.m. And the most important thing in the morning is to eat the frog. Eating the frog is all about doing the hardest task first. What is the hardest task in real estate? It is prospecting. And nobody wants to prospect. So Noah's goal this week is 150 calls a day. So 150 calls. And that's going to be, some of those will be sphere follow-up calls, right, and touch base, probably usually 20 to maybe 50 a day at most, more around the 20 to your sphere. The majority of those calls are to cold, anonymous type leads, whether they came into our Facebook ad that came in, or circle prospecting is really good right now. So we have a whole podcast on circle prospecting that you can go listen to. And we teach you exactly how we do it, where we buy the data from, the script that we're using, how we're doing the script, the offer, all that stuff. But we'll spend majority, that 150 calls can take anywhere from 2 hours to 3 hours. And the one thing I skip before we get to the calls is we always look at the market first thing in the morning. Because if you get in at 7:30, you're not really calling people at 7:30. Right. You usually start around 8:30, somewhere in that. So we're looking at the market. And from the market perspective, we learned this from Sean Carpenter. I would challenge you, look at the market from two perspectives, one for education and one for ability to reach out to people you know. So one time, look at your MLS and go, okay, what came on the market? What sold? What do I need to know about, right? For my current buyers and stuff like that, sellers. But then look at it through the lens of your sphere and go, okay, what happened in these areas that I could text somebody in my sphere about today that, hey, Melody, I was looking and I saw that right up the road from you, 1100 First Avenue sold for this price. What do you think of that? Did you see that? And now it gives you an easy outreach to your sphere based upon activity that's happening in the market. And that was a tip we learned on this podcast from Sean Carpenter. So I forget what episode that is, but you can go listen to how he does that. But you basically win the morning through exercise and feeding your spirits and mind, right? Then you get into the office, you educate yourself on the market and do outreach based upon the market. Then you move into prospecting for 2 to 3 hours. Once you get out of prospecting, then you are with your clients, essentially. You are doing appointments. You are, doing, whether it's a listing appointment, showing buyers around. You're doing kind of those ins and outs of the business. And then usually they come back and at the end of the day, make more calls at the end of the day. And those calls usually are follow-up calls. We use FUB as a CRM, so Follow-Up Boss as a CRM. They're usually around their task that are set, so follow-up calls to the things that have happened throughout the day. That is what a normal day looks like for them. The only thing that throws it is when Eric, your prospect, calls you and he wants to go see a property at 9, right?
Right.
So the commitment is not the necessarily time block, even though we try to stick to the calendar, but it just has not played out in practicality. The commitment is the conversations. And we know we can't control the conversations, but we can control the activity. So that's why Noah's trying to do 150 dials. So it's like if I read you a text message, like this was Tim this morning. This will give you an idea of Tuesday goals. 1 post, 3 stories, 30 tasks, 5 combos, 1 appointment. Ratify bundle lots for Bear Brothers. Follow up with the Bowmans on potential offer. That's literally the text Tim sent me this morning when he got to the office. That is every day I will get a text like that from Tim. So I would just encourage you, think about that for your business and going, hey, Eric just gave you a great roadmap for your social media and what you need to do there. Then apply, okay, how many combos can I have a day in real estate? They say if you can have 20 combos a day in real estate, you will be a top producer. And I've seen that played out to be true. We never usually make it to 20. Some days we will. But you see Tim's goal today is just have 5 combos. So you need that, and that's what I would encourage you to do. So hopefully that helps.
Okay, it does. Thank you.
Awesome. Melody, that's fantastic. Hey, now go implement and go from 4 million to 8 million. It's very doable. You have so much more in the tank. I can see it. You just need to be challenged to get to the next level because I can tell you've been cruising at 4 million and you're not even thinking about it really. Not saying you're not working hard, but if I'm reading you correct, you can go to 8 million, but you have this big goal in 5 years or so to retire. You've got to get real intentional of what that looks like income wise. We had a caller come in, I forget, a couple call-in episodes ago asking us about retirement. And I challenged them, write a letter to yourself of where you want to be. You got to get real specific about the goal if you want to hit the goal. You can't hit a target you don't know exists. You got to get real specific. So what income do you want to be making? And how is that income going to be? Do you want to put your license in referral status and be able to make 1%, right, off of the transaction? Like get real intentional and then really focus the next 5 years. You'll knock it out of the park because 99% of people, they know what to do. They just don't do it. Right. So be the 1% that actually does it and you'll see your life change. Love it. Melody, really appreciate it.
Thank you, guys. Have a great day.
All right, there you go. Make sure to submit your questions to be answered live here on Stay Paid. ReminderMedia.com/ask. Eric, thank you so much.
Yeah, man, this is great. We're going to have you back
this was
2
awesome.
years from now.
Someone that actually knows what they're talking about. This is a nice change of pace, you know?
I got to tell you, that day, besides the morning, sounds horrible. The day that was just laid out, I was just thinking, thank God that this is
like, God, man, that's why I got out of the real estate business.
Exactly.
It's so funny.
Yeah.
Well, what is it? Dave Ramsey says, live like no one else so you can live like no one else. Right. It's like choose your poison. Doesn't have to be that for some people, though, batching the content and making the content is as much hell as making the phone calls. You know what I mean?
Sure
It
it
just
is.
is like choose your poison, but you are correct. It is
Just like
not for the
anything,
faint
though,
of
you
heart.
develop a muscle for it, right? Like just as you develop a muscle to make those calls and handle the objections that your buyers or sellers or clients have, you develop the muscle of how do I create better content? How do I find the better hook? How do I use an audio that works for this? How do I use a caption? Like you can see it slowly come together, and then it just become a whole lot easier.
100%.
Yeah, it's awesome. Thank you again so much for joining us. Obviously, you can follow Eric at The Broke Agent on Instagram. Anywhere else you want them to go, Eric?
Just check out NowBam on Instagram, nowbam.com for our media company.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And thank you to all of our callers. As I mentioned during the show, you can go to remindermedia.com/ask to submit your questions. You can also follow us on Instagram. We are at Stay Paid Podcast. And then, of course, like every episode, you can get all of the show notes and the video, staypaidpodcast.com. Make sure to check out our YouTube channel. Now that we've been doing more of these question and answer type of episodes, we have a ton more videos. Right. So we had each one of these questions that are being asked here on the show. We cut that up into a specific episode. So you can go on there, scroll through the titles, see which one relates most to your business. Make sure you're checking us out and subscribed on Spotify as well. But you can go to YouTube, youtube.com/Reminder Media is where you can find all of those. For this episode of Stay Paid, I am Josh Syke.
And I'm Luke Acree. Guys, please give your feedback. I'm loving the feedback on the show. It's really helping us. I've gotten some really valuable feedback. So it's helping me understand kind of what to do with the show to make it better, to make it more impactful for you. I promise we will keep refining this to make it the best call-in show out there, the best place to get real estate advice. Eric, man, loved having you on. We are definitely going to have you back on. I really feel like this is going to be an incredible platform for people to get advice where they can't normally get it, especially brand agnostic, because we're not loyal to any brand. We're only loyal to ourselves here. I'm just kidding. We're
To our
loyal
clients,
to
we
you.
are loyal
Yeah,
to our
loyal to our
listeners.
clients. There you go.
I
Loyal to our
love-
listeners.
I love the format. This was a blast. It's fun to go rapid fire. It's fun to talk to different faces as much as I like talking to your faces on this pod. And I remember when you were coming up with the show, I thought that was brilliant because you do just get so many amazing social clips and other YouTube videos out of this. So you're mass producing like 5 or 6 different pieces of content. That could also be blog posts, by the way,
Yeah.
or different newsletters. So each one of these is filled with so much informational and content gold. I'm just jealous I didn't come up with it, honestly.
Well, our plan is we're going to keep bringing the best of the best to you so you can get access to people maybe you couldn't often get access to. So that is our hope. We're going to keep bringing in experts like Eric to help you guys grow your business. Remember, though, the difference between top producers and mediocre producers in every single industry is top producers take action. So if you heard something that you know you need to do, you should be doing, but you're not doing it, you need to do it. Take action on that today.